Is that normal?
Good question. Is that normal? Unfortunately, the answer is it is so normal it hurts. Everywhere we go, Rudy and I, sometimes this is in the teens, sometimes it's a little higher. I would say this is right down the middle. Now, I don't know if that makes you feel good or bad.
We strive for the middle of the road. That's our vision.
Okay, well, when you take the people who teach us, that's about what it is. Sorry, you guys are, but it's not good. Can it be higher than that? It's not. So you know, the fact that you're no different than everyone else, I don't think is really comfort, to be honest with you.
Not really.
I don't think that should be comforting. But it's good. Now, it's hard to see. This is the organizational chart. There's more than 6 admins, 33 admins on here, so I'll just... Anyway, there you go. Athletics. Now, I'm a big sports fan. I understand everyone loves sports. And I just wanted... There were several... I don't know about the people here, but there were several faculty who were chirping about athletics in some of this in the school paper. They were not happy with the expansion. They thought... So I don't know if it's any of you. God bless it if it was. You know, if not, that's fine. So I just said, okay, if you guys are talking about it, then you must care about it. And this football stadium thing definitely is an issue. Is that true that people paid attention to the football stadium expansion?
Yeah, it's been taken off the table.
Oh, the expansion's off the table.
Yeah.
Good for him. Anyway, well, I think he realizes that spending that kind of money on reserves, you got solid reserves, but that's not the first place it should go.
There's a finance committee.
Anyways, there's 539 student athletes, most of whom are very good students. I imagine you know a lot of them. They're really good kids. That's 4% of the student body here plays sports. That's not double counting. If a student plays 3 sports, they only count once. The total athletic, a lot of the kids do. They run track. They play a lot of different sports. Total athletic expenses last year was $26 million. So it's about 5. This is again just Durham. 5% of the whole thing is.
So it's more than the expenses, the total expenses for lecturers.
Yes, oh by a lot. Yeah, 26. That's a good point here. 26 million on athletics, 13.6 on lectures. About twice. Good point.
How many students?
Yes.
How much of that 26 million spent on athletics are for courses as opposed to?
We're getting there.
Okay.
We're on our way. This is the athletic spending over time to the big dip here. So this is by sport. Football, men's basketball, women's basketball, other men's sports, other women's sports. General, the biggest, almost the second biggest chunk after women's sports. There's 9 other women's sports besides football and basketball, and 4 other men's sports. Now,
Basketball.
what was that?
I was looking at basketball, it's like 1% of win.
Well, I'm not making any comments. I didn't know. Okay. All right, that's not very nice, but okay. Kids are trying. Come on now, I'm sure they're trying.
Where's hockey?
Yeah, where's ice hockey?
Other men's sports.
It's buried in other men's sports.
Wow, really?
I could have parsed it out. But the to fully answer your question in the back, the scholarship money is, that's kind of internal funny money, is what you're getting. I think the scholarship money is about $6 million of this is scholarship money. The rest of it's real cash. Yes, go ahead.
Well, I guess my question is, the mission of the university is education. So, I'm in the music department. We're teaching all courses. They sign up, they pay credit. So the money that comes to us helps us to deliver courses to finish the degree. How much of the athletic department spending is on their courses as opposed to football, which is not a course?
Very little.
So there's 26 million for a lot of things that aren't actual courses that go on transcripts or helps them to graduate.
I imagine for like equipment and travel.
I could show you, I could break it down for you, and they actually break it down by coaches' salaries. The courses, as you're calling them, would be the scholarship money. The kids don't pay tuition. So it's kind of funny money though. What I mean by that is, let's say you take a football player who's on a full ride, doesn't have to pay any tuition, and he plays football and he takes 4 courses a semester, right? The tuition of those 4, and one of them is your course, let's say he's taking a music course with you. The tuition for that course gets paid from the athletic department budget. So some of that 26 million is scholarship, but about 15% of it. That's it. Most of it is on recruiting expenses, travel, coaches' salaries, admin salaries. This here, the green, that's all the administrators who work in athletics. Yes?
So, in terms of, this is the total expenses, does the university generate revenue?
We're getting there. We're getting there. So here's the revenue. I'm going to get to the dollar value in a second.
Right.
And here's the takeaway I want you to take away from this. They're counting as a revenue the student fee and school funds. What do I mean by school funds? That's the general fund of the university basically writing a check to cover athletic costs. Plus, you students may not know this, but a percentage of the student fee goes directly to the Department of Intercollegiate Athletics.
The largest percentage of their fee.
It's the largest percentage of
It's
their
the
fee.
largest percentage.
My guess is they get to go to the games without having to pay a ticket, so,
Correct.
Yeah.
and so there is some give and take there, right? So there is some, but still, the support, that means the way, USA Today's done a great job, they've really, Mark Emmert and the NCAA hate them because they've really exposed a lot of things in college sports. And 68% of athletic expenditures have to be supported by the core mission, which is, I guess, the point. That's the best answer to your question. Of every dollar spent in athletics, 68 cents is coming from the academic side. The rest, their ticket sales, 7%. This university generated just over $1 million in ticket sales in 2013. Just over $1 million. And it's been steady for the last 5 or 6 years. One year was like 900,000. So ticket sales, and that at places that play big time football, obviously this pie chart looks very different. And so this is what the support percentage at UNH for the last 6 years, and you can see it's been between 65 and 70% for the last 6 years. It hasn't changed. So every year, just over 2/3 of the athletic expenses, and that's not fake money. That's not fake money, that's real money. And the student fee, like you said, I didn't know that. That's student money going directly to them. Now, you may not like the way they spend it, but that's how they're spending it. They're spending it like this. And so here I compared the schools you play football against. That's in your football. Plus I threw in a couple others just to show you a comparison. So the administration would argue, I think it's fair. I think, I didn't know how these numbers would come out. I thought, this is the right way to do this. So you do have a lower support percentage than Stony Brook, Delaware, Rhode Island, James Madison, Albany, and Towson. But still, that's a very high support percentage. A little lower than Maine, William & Mary. University of Connecticut, who I know is not in your conference, but they're not that far away. Penn State's at 0. So their ticket sales, basically, and their contributions cover everything. And then some. So they get nothing from it.
UConn wins basketball games, I heard.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, with a 5,
Men and
that's
women.
Yeah.
1% per win comment.
Well, yeah, I mean, I factored in, it's $1 million, it's $250,000 a win.
But, so I think this is relevant, even in the negotiating context. To me, it's just priorities. Given the time, I'm not going to bore you guys going through all this. I'll just give you the summary. I do this a lot, almost every week, the whole semester. And I see a lot of financial statements, a lot of financial information. The lack of transparency here is a close second worst to Rutgers, who's by far the worst. There is no budget. The budget for UNH is not online to an outsider, and it should be. And I have here, by the way, what should be there. I have a couple of links where they actually show you the exact budget. I could show you, here when you go to the websites, when you go to, that's Vice President of Financial Operations, and you go to these websites, you just get nothing. Budget and cost analysis. The president has some facts and highlights that are just, look how many students we have, isn't it great? But there's no budget. You have to have a budget. The budget is a plan for where the next year is going. Right now at UNH, they're probably putting to bed the 14-15 budget. I assume there's a budget committee here, and there are probably faculty on that budget. My guess is they get very little information, because they're not putting it on their website. They're not putting it on their budget website. There's also a budget committee, by the way, and the budget committee, I'll get to in a second, is not exactly populated with academic people. But one thing I do want to say before I get to the budget committee, sorry. you want to make sure you ask for, right now, the 12-13 iPad submission. It was done, these are part of the data requests you'll make in regard to negotiations. And the reason it's important, it's the separate data for this campus, and we will learn the salaries devoted to instruction, we'll learn the salaries devoted to admins, we'll learn a lot of things from that submission. They have it, it's done, it's been sent to the federal government. There are 11 PDF files, they're all about 15, 20 pages each. It would take them about 3 minutes to email them to you. We don't get to see them as researchers until December of 14. But in negotiations, you should see them right now and you should ask for it. When I look at, this is the budget committee. So I listed all the people who are on the budget committee. And there are faculty on there, chair of the faculty senate, chair of the faculty senate finance committee, 2 at-large faculty appointed by the provost. Well, that goes that. Or from where I sit. There is a student and a grad student. This is very heavy admin, any way you look at it. At least that's from where I sit. You guys aren't happy? Okay. By the way, one of the things I was telling is
Howard, I can just say, I was for a while on that committee, and I thought it was an absolute joke. It really was.
in terms of what they gave you in information.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I was speaking to Israel this morning about, about representation, about these kind of issues, and it's not going to happen unless you ask for it. You guys got to decide, do you want to be on this kind of thing? Because it probably has been a joke, but can you make it less of a joke? I don't know. In most places, the answer is no. I'll be frank, but this to me is a bit much. How many? Just getting a coffee and a donut for this group costs a lot of money. There's a lot of it. So, but I'm not able to show you the raises for the salaries for the admins. The only file I had was 2011. I think Deanna, you had sent that, and it had the president was like making 3-something. But what I like to do is I look at a series of salaries over years. No names, just positions. I never put the names up here. You guys don't know who they are anyway. But I wasn't able to do that here. In many states, the newspapers actually publish. And the newspapers here do not publish. I'm not able to get the salaries of either going to New Hampshire, it's New Hampshire transparency.gov or something like that, does not have the salaries of the employees of the UNSH system. It just has the employees of the state in general. And none of the newspaper sites have the salaries that you can search for. Someone told me, I think maybe Israel told me, I think you get them at the library, I guess. You can physically get them at the library.
Yeah, sort of.
Sort of.
Yes, sort of old and inaccurate.
Yeah.
Well, that's perfect.
And occasionally the papers will publish the top 50 salaries at UNH.
And the system stops publishing those salaries when we're in negotiations. So I suspect when you guys go into negotiations, that's another reason for them to say, we're not going to give these salaries because we don't know blah, blah. So, and we have, even the library, which is the archive for the system, can't get those numbers.
All right, last bit, let's talk about healthcare and in context of salaries. So for the lecturer group, you guys are done. I'm not ignoring you guys, but right now, these are the guys who are negotiating. Here are their salaries. Right now, that's about